Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the President of Zimbabwe from 24 November 2017 to present. From the time I and most of the people listening to this presentation were born, the President of Zimbabwe has always been Robert Gabriel Mugabe. He ruled for 37 years. He was the most feared president who ruled with an iron fist. And most people, even today, still think that the President of Zimbabwe is Robert Gabriel Mugabe. He established a military state with highly trained secret operatives who could smell a coup 1,000 kilometers away. But as the famous saying goes, what goes around comes back around. He was ousted from power by the same military machine he created. The man who succeeded in doing this is none other than E.D. the crocodile Ngwena, the dark horse. He earned his nickname by being politically shrewd, besides being part of the crocodile gang that sabotaged white farms during the struggle. He and his accomplices planned and executed one of the famous coups in the history of Africa, a soft, sugar-coated coup, deemed as the presidential protection against corrupt people around him. Who is Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa? He is a man born in Zishavane in 1942 to Mafidi and Murai Mnangagwa, people who loved politics. Later, Mafidi, his father, was involved in a dispute with a white official, which led to his exile in northern Rhodesia. This led to people speculating that the Mnangagwa family originates from Zambia. 1962 saw the surge of political activities by ZANU. He became a guerrilla for the military wing Zipra and was trained in Tanganyika. During his time with Zipra, he challenged the decision of their leader Joshua Nkomo and was sentenced to death, from which he was saved by Leopold Takawira and Simon Mzenda. He left the party to join ZANU, and this is believed to have led to his bitterness and later involvement in the Gukurahundi genocide. During his time with the Crocodile Gang, he blew up a train near Masungo and was sentenced to death. He was also tortured to an extent of losing hearing in his left ear. He was somewhat saved from death by his lawyer and served 10 years in prison, marked D prisoner, as he was considered very dangerous. He was later transferred from Kami to Salisbury Central, where he met Mugabe and studied in his prison class, passing all in A-level and later studying law via correspondence. He was released from prison as he used his Zambian nationality as a loophole. He met Mugabe again later and became his assistant and bodyguard. Based on their prison relationship, he accompanied Robert Gabriel to Lancaster House, and by that he learned all the ropes. Upon independence, he was made Minister of State for National Security and oversaw the Central Intelligence, where he made strong connections with security systems, and this later aided him in the coup in 2017. In 1980, he became the Joint Operations Command, overseeing the amalgamation of Zipra and ZANU into one. During his days as the Minister of State for National Security, the 5th Brigade killed thousands of Ndebele's civilians in Matabeleland, and this reign of terror lasted for 5 years. But he denies involvement, saying the President and Minister of Defense, who was the Commander-in-Chief of the Army, should account for what happened in Matabeleland. He held many portfolios, but of interest is the Speaker of Parliament from 2000 to 2005. He was appointed conspicuously after he had lost to MDC candidate and was appointed to be a member of Parliament as well as the Speaker through secret ballot. He is allegedly involved in the mining saga and interest in the DRC during the Second Congo War, in which he swapped Zimbabwean soldiers' lives for mining contracts, according to The Guardian. He is strongly implicated in Congo mineral exploitation and making Harare illicit diamond trading center, which led to his US travel ban and sanction in 2003. In 2004, Jonathan Moyo and Mnangagwa allegedly plotted against RG to replace Joyce Mjuru with ED, as he was the fit successor for RG. He was then demoted to Minister of Rural Housing for 5 years. He is the one responsible for Operation Mrambatsweni, which was an initiative to do away with people who opposed RG's rule in urban electorate. And this caused general suffering and fear, which reigned for the political party in the following years. This initiative also gained him favor in the eyes of the president, who wasn't happy with Mjuru's political activities. In 2007, there was a planned coup that failed, and Mnangagwa was named as the main man who would assume the throne. The leaders of the coup, including several brigadiers and Matapo, spent 7 years in prison with no trial, but ED walked. In 2008, Mnangagwa was chief election agent and ensured that RG won that day, but failed. He then organized a violent rerun voting that caused Morgan Tsvangirai to withdraw and RG assuming presidency again. He was allegedly responsible for the 2013 general election violence. Basically, ED is a violent man. In 2014, he was appointed to vice president and saw himself as successor of RG and casting Mjuru into political dustbins. He started assuming presidential duties, and in his interview on national TV in China, he criticized the president's reform as the major cause of Zimbabwe's situation, which angered RG. Factionalism, on the other hand, had already started with two rival parties, Lacoste being led by EG and G40 by Grace Mugabe. She was open about a fight against Mnangagwa, who allegedly planned to bomb a dairy farm and who also planned to take over the throne from her husband. The president did not, however, get involved or comment on factionalism or pick a successor. This sounds like a monarchy. Is Zimbabwe a monarchy where one president chooses a successor? He was allegedly poisoned at a rally in Gwanda, where he was airlifted to Gweru, then Harare, and to South Africa for treatment. The doctors ruled out food poisoning, but found palladium in his liver. A month later, he was dismissed as the vice president, and 2 days later, he fled for Mozambique as his life was threatened. The coup then happened in his absence, and he returned 2 days before he was sworn in as the president of Zimbabwe. Well planned. He wasn't part of the coup, but he was sworn in. Mnangagwa married Auxilia Kachikauripo, a former CIO, in 2002. It was only after the death of his first wife, but already they had sons. Their first son with Auxilia was born in 1984 and then followed by twins Sean and Collins. His first wife, Jane Maitarise, was cousin to Josiah Tungukara, and together they had 6 children. She died in 2002 from cervical cancer. The fun facts that we have: his son-in-law, Gerald Mlotshwa, is a political rival, and he begged G40. Is married to Farai Mnangagwa, the firstborn. He has 2 sons called Emmerson by both wives. The first wife has got a son called Emmerson. The second wife has got a son called Emmerson. It feels like a competition. The older son, Emmerson, by his first wife, is a musician and called Saint Emo. It's a DJ. And Mnangagwa is part of the famous gold mafia exposed on Al Jazeera recently. He is a very rich man. He bought a beautiful villa in Dubai beachfront, and he is friends with the Dubai Crown Prince Zayed Al Nahyan.